Urgent. Mercury enters Taurus. The thought that slows down is the one that becomes real. Your mind is about to change speed, not because something is wrong with the speed it has been running at, because the territory it is entering does not respond to speed. It responds to weight. On May 2nd, Mercury leaves Aries, where it has been thinking at the pace of impulse, speaking at the speed of first reaction, processing information with the specific urgency of the sign that moves before it considers, and crosses into Taurus. And what happens to the mind when it enters Taurus is the specific, immediate, physically felt shift from fast to heavy. From the thought that arrives first to the thought that arrives last and stays. From the word that cuts to the word that builds. Mercury in Aries was the blade. Mercury in Taurus is the stone. Both are useful. Both are real. But the stone does something the blade cannot. It remains where you place it. And what remains is what becomes the material of the life you are actually building. This is the transit the year has been missing. Every major event since February has been producing insight, revelation, direction, clarity. Saturn-Neptune declared the new ground. Jupiter excavated the emotional depth. Mars provided the action. Venus revised the desire. Mercury in Aries found the first sharp words. But sharp words and fast insight do not automatically become permanent structures. They become permanent structures only when they are slowed down enough to be pressed into the material of daily reality with the specific weight that Taurus requires. Mercury in Taurus is where the year's fast understanding becomes slow knowledge, where the insight that arrived at the speed of lightning gets tested at the speed of stone. And what survives the slowing? What is still true when it is no longer exciting, still valid when it is no longer urgent? Still worth building on when the impulse that produced it has moved on. That is what becomes real. By the time this video is over, you will understand what Mercury in Taurus specifically does to the quality of your thinking. Why the slowdown is not a loss of intelligence, but a gain of substance. And what each sign of the zodiac gains when the mind stops sprinting and starts weighing. Stay here, because the thought that changes your life is almost never the fastest one. It is the one that was heavy enough to stay. Let me start with what just ended. Mercury has been in Aries, the sign Mars rules, the territory of first thought, first word, first impulse. In Aries, Mercury operates at maximum speed and minimum revision. The thought forms and exits the mouth in the same breath. The insight arrives and is acted upon before the second assessment has time to qualify it. This speed is not careless. It is Aries calibrated. It is designed for initiation, for breaking inertia, for the specific moments in life when thinking too long is the actual problem and moving before the analysis is complete is the actual solution. But initiation is not construction. And the thought that breaks inertia is not always the thought you want to build a foundation on. Mercury in Taurus provides the specific corrective, not to undo what Aries produced, to test it, to take every fast insight and run it through the Taurus filter. Is this still true when it is slow? Is this still worth saying when the urgency has passed? Is this still the direction when the impulse is no longer driving? What survives the Taurus filter is genuine. What does not survive was excitement wearing the costume of insight. Both are valuable information. Here is what Mercury in Taurus feels like in the mind. The first thing you will notice, possibly as early as May 2nd, is that your thoughts become heavier. Not darker, heavier. The specific quality of a thought that carries weight when it arrives rather than speed. The thought does not race through the mind and disappear. It arrives, settles, and sits. You can feel its mass. You can turn it over. You can examine it from multiple angles without it evaporating in the time the examination takes. This is Mercury in Taurus's primary gift. The thought that stays long enough to be genuinely evaluated rather than merely experienced. The second thing you will notice is that your speech slows. Not because you have less to say, because each word carries more consequence. Mercury in Taurus produces the specific quality of speech where the speaker can feel the weight of what they are about to say before they say it. The word is tested in the mouth before it leaves. And what leaves the mouth under Mercury in Taurus has the specific quality of something that was chosen rather than something that escaped. The third thing, and this will be particularly noticeable for people who have been operating at Aries speed for weeks, is the desire to say less. Not from withdrawal, from the specific recognition that fewer words with more weight produce more effect than many words at high speed. Mercury in Taurus is the quality of communication where one sentence does the work of 10. Not because the sentence is clever, because the sentence is heavy. Here is where this transit matters in the context of this specific week. Mercury enters Taurus on May 2nd. 2 days later, on May 4th, Mars in Aries squares Jupiter in Cancer, the transit that inflates action to a scale the current structure may not support. And 1 day after that, on May 5th, Mercury in Taurus squares Pluto in Aquarius, the transit that reveals the power dynamic hidden beneath the surface of communication. Mercury in Taurus is not arriving in a calm week. It is arriving in a week where the mind's ability to slow down, weigh consequences, and speak with precision rather than speed is the specific tool that prevents the week's more volatile transits from producing damage. Mars square Jupiter wants to act big. Mercury in Taurus says, is the action proportional to what the structure can hold? Mercury square Pluto wants to speak the hidden truth. Mercury in Taurus says, speak it with the weight of stone rather than the sharpness of a blade, and it will land without destroying what it touches. Here is where Mercury in Taurus lands for each sign. If you are Taurus or Taurus rising, Mercury enters your first house. The mind comes home to your sign. Thinking becomes the most natural and grounded it will be all year. The words that describe who you are, arriving with unusual accuracy and weight. If you are Scorpio or Scorpio rising, Mercury enters your 7th house. The mind goes to partnerships. After the Scorpio full moon surfaced what was buried, Mercury in Taurus provides the slow, weighted words to address it without the urgency that would distort the conversation. If you are Leo or Leo rising, Mercury enters your 10th house. The mind goes to career. Professional thinking gains the specific quality of substance rather than presentation. What you say about your work now carries the weight of something genuinely meant. If you are Aquarius or Aquarius rising, Mercury enters your 4th house. The mind goes to the foundation. Thinking about home, roots, emotional architecture becomes unusually grounded and practical. If you are Gemini or Gemini rising, Mercury enters your 12th house. The mind goes interior. After Mercury's upcoming visit to your own sign, the Taurus passage takes the thinking underground, the slow thought that forms in the invisible interior. If you are Aries or Aries rising, Mercury enters your 2nd house. The mind goes to values. What matters to you? What you invest your resources in? What you consider worth your energy? Mercury in Taurus provides the weighted assessment. If you are Cancer or Cancer rising, Mercury enters your 11th house. The mind goes to community. Thinking about the future, about networks, about collective building becomes grounded in what is actually possible rather than what is exciting. If you are Virgo or Virgo rising, Mercury enters your 9th house. The mind goes to meaning. Philosophical thinking gains the substance of lived experience rather than abstract theory. If you are Libra or Libra rising, Mercury enters your 8th house. The mind goes to the deepest shared territory. The slow, heavy thought applied to power dynamics, shared resources, intimate truth. If you are Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, Mercury enters your 6th house. The mind goes to daily practice. Thinking about work, health, routine becomes the grounded assessment of what the daily structure actually needs. If you are Capricorn or Capricorn rising, Mercury enters your 5th house. The mind goes to creative expression. Creative thinking gains weight. What you make under this transit carries the quality of something that was considered before it was produced. If you are Pisces or Pisces rising, Mercury enters your 3rd house. The mind goes to daily communication. Every conversation, every exchange, every piece of information processed through the Taurus filter of weight and permanence. The practice for Mercury in Taurus is the opposite of Mercury in Aries' practice. In Aries, the practice was, speak before the filter stops you. In Taurus, the practice is, wait one full breath after the thought arrives before you decide whether to speak it. In that one breath, the thought settles. Its weight becomes accessible. If the thought is still present after the breath, still carrying the same conviction, still wanting to be said, then it has passed the Taurus test, and what you say will carry the specific quality of something that was chosen rather than something that escaped. If the thought dissolves during the breath, if the urgency was the thought's primary fuel, and without the urgency the thought loses its form, then what almost left your mouth was excitement rather than substance. The breath saved you from mistaking one for the other. This is Mercury in Taurus's gift, the breath between the thought and the word that separates what is heavy from what is fast. Use it. Every conversation this week benefits from it. Every decision this week benefits from it. The thought that slows down is the one that becomes real. And real is what you are building with. There is one more quality of Mercury in Taurus that most people will miss. The pauses that appear in your thinking this week are not emptiness. They are the specific quality of a mind that is weighing rather than racing. The conversations will be fewer, but the ones you have will carry a quality Aries conversations did not. The quality of something that was meant. Not performed, not improvised, meant. Each word selected with the deliberate care of someone choosing stones for a wall. Each sentence load-bearing. One slow sentence in the right relationship this week will do more structural work than a month of fast exchanges. Not because the sentence is wise, because the sentence is heavy. And heavy sentences, like heavy stones, stay where they are placed. Write in the comments the thought that has been arriving fast all week that you are now going to slow down and test. Is it still true when it is heavy? Is it still the direction when the speed stops? Subscribe and turn on the bell, because Mercury's journey through Taurus coincides with some of the most volatile transits of the year. And the mind's ability to operate at the speed of stone rather than the speed of fire is the specific tool that keeps the volatility from becoming damage. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.